We had a wrap-up party and I was just standing by the balcony and someone came and was like, how do you feel on top of the world? I said, no, for a change within the world. Really, I felt accepted.
अगर हमारी इंडस्ट्री राइटर्स को इज्जत दे तो हम सबकी लाइफ बदल जाएगी
100%. Day I used to shoot in Jaipur, nights I used to shoot in Mumbai, and then again,
Wow, that's so. Can I give you an award? How did you do that?
I think you should change this show to actor therapy.
It always becomes actor therapy. It is truly exciting to be sitting in the room with the actors responsible for what I consider to be some of the finest performances of the year. So thank you so much to all of you and welcome.
thank you
Thank you for having us.
You know, I've been saying for some time now that the finest Hindi language storytelling is all on streaming, specifically streaming shows, you know, in terms of the acting talent storytelling. And I think all of your work is a testament to that. We usually do these roundtables at the end of the year, but because it's been such an exciting year on streaming and all of your work has been so good, we just couldn't wait, so we got greedy. And it really feels like this year specifically has raised the bar for what long-form storytelling can be. And I think all of your shows really are a testament to that. But I want to start with a quick icebreaker. Complete this sentence. I knew I'd made it in the industry when...
Suchin tweeted about me.
That sounds like you knew what the question was. So was it like media recognition for you? Like when did you feel like you've made it?
Yeah. I mean, that was one of the first few. Obviously, you reviewed the shows. You're the guy we have to look forward to, you know, when a show comes out. Ye kya bol raha hai bhai? So yeah, I remember, you know, when it released and you tweeted about it, and it sort of felt very good, of course. And it was like an initial validation that I got that yeah, theek chal raha hai maamla.
What about the rest of you? Did you ever get that feeling of, I've made it? When was that moment?
Oh, I still don't feel it.
Same.
Yeah,
same.
Like
You're still arriving.
yeah.
But like, because I'm always wondering, like, from an actor's perspective, is there a specific measure or metric for I've arrived? What does that look like? Is it?
I like to be on the way, I think. I want to be on the way. I want to feel like I'm on the way at all times. I don't know why.
I thought about it, what would it feel like materially?
Yeah.
And I don't think whatever I'm saying now will have any value because I think my mind changes, you know. But I thought it might look like doing one project a year, you know. That would be very successful for me because if that means I have half a year to prep for that project and I shoot for the project and the rest of the time I spend with my family and friends.
That's amazing.
That sounds like success to me. I don't know how it's interpreted, you know, by the world and industry. It might not look like success, may look very different for other people, or what made it means may be very different.
But having your own choice of role, for example.
I think having a balance between my work and my personal life is,
I still say no to 90% of the work that is offered to me. So I guess, you know, like she said, you know, until unless I get moved by the material, I probably am going to say no. And yeah, so it's been pretty consistent, you know, journey in that sense.
But it must be wonderful to have that choice. I also wanted to ask you about the specific projects we're here to discuss, you know, these performances. And if any of you had any apprehensions or reservations taking on these roles. You know, Radhika, for you in Saas, Bahu, Flamingo, you're playing the chemist and heir to a massive cocaine empire, you know. Tillotama, for you in Love Stories, you know, it's such a delicate, your segment, The Mirror, is such a delicate look at desire and sexuality. Rajshri, for you, you know, you are playing a grieving mother over several decades and her sort of uphill fight for justice. And Aamir, you know, your role, Samsa in School of Lies, is such an incredibly complex figure. I mean, spoiler alert, it's someone who's been abused as a child who also is now in a relationship with an underage student. So for all of you, did you have any reservations taking on any of these roles and how did you get through those?
Man, where is my introduction? I'm joking.
No, do you have any reservations for Jubilee?
Oh, not at all. You think so? What a character I got to play.
Yeah, indeed. What a
no, again, for somebody like me, like I say 90% of the time I say no. I had to jump at something like this because I waited 20 years for something, for a script or a character like that to come up or offered to me. So definitely no reservations. Also because once you know somebody like Avinash Arun is involved. I mean, he's the director and the writing is good. None whatsoever. You just jump at it. Yeah. Of course, then after saying yes, the nerves set in whether you will be able to pull it off and all of that comes later.
It's a tough one to pull off.
Yeah. So that comes later. But initial excitement, yes, I jumped at it immediately.
When you said 20 years, I was like, your journey has been so like inspiring. From Pyar ke side effects to from where you began, where you just know literally, and working with you, even though we didn't have any scenes together in Inside Edge. So just all these years to just like really keep going and just now just really doing the work.
Yeah, I guess in some ways I'm a late bloomer as well. So.
No, I
That's
don't
why we're
know.
sitting next to each other. I think that's why Sachin planned this. Let's put the late bloomers who've been at this for 20 plus
imagine the
years.
intensity of last Roundtable.
Late bloomer.
Yeah, late bloomers.
Yeah.
Radhika, what about you? You are, that is such a specific role, and I imagine the kind of show that you don't get, to be in very often. So what was that like?
Definitely, like I usually choose projects which really scare me. Like I need to, if I am not able to sleep, or if I'm like, how the hell am I going to crack this character, I make sure that I do that project. With Saas and Flamingo, I had no idea how to play Shanta. I remember on the first, so I went to the location 3 days before the shoot, and I had prepped with Homie. And I was feeling quite confident, and then I saw the place and I saw my lab and everything, and Homie just changed the character, and he just flipped it upside down, and I was like, I'm going to shoot in a day. How will I crack this now? But that really kept me on my toes, and I think the credit of Shanta really goes to Homie, because I literally had no idea how to play her. She was way out of my league. I didn't have the chops for it. I just trusted Homie and I just went with it. And after every scene, I felt like this is somebody else. And for actors, it is such a joy to feel that it's not your body and it's not your voice. And how the hell did I do that? It's such a joy to experience that. And after that, I just kept chasing that feeling.
Well, it worked. I can tell you that much. Bhuvan, for you, any sort of...
A lot of reservations. I'm so sorry to say this, but I've actually played a hero's friend. Pardon my audacity for using that word, but I've done that in a lot of films. And when this had come to me for an audition, it was a 3-line script, and I was sort of done with playing those parts. I didn't enjoy them. I felt like, what am I doing on the set? I find my bread and butter is coming. But then I was like, "Ye mera ho gaya hai. I'm done with this. I don't really want to do this." So when it come to me, the audition script, it was like a 3-line script. It's a small scene, the opening of the show, where me and Sunny are kidnapped, and KKM comes and asks us, "Ye kisne banaya?" And the killing sequence. And I sort of asked the casting director Mukesh bhai, one of his team members had called me कि यार आप मुझे क्यों कॉल कर रहे हो इस चीज़ के लिए, मैंने मतलब कर लिया ये काफ़ी, I really want to progress in life, I want to do better parts now. He said कि भाई आप सिर्फ टेस्ट दो. And I was actually recording an audition for something which was much more meaningful for me at that point of time, which never was made and hasn't been made still. Good call. So my friend was there and I said कि कर दे यार इसका भी एक take. So he just casually recorded it and it went to them, and they called me the very next day. And then I started to feel this thing कि यार अब तो हो गया है. And I always wanted to work with Raj and DK because they are who they are, right? और फिर मुझे ऐसा लगने लगा मैं कैसे मना करूँगा यार. And you know that it's something that you really want, but आपको पता नहीं है कि if it's the right thing for you. So then I went to their office, they sat me down and they said कि भाई बहुत important है. करो, ठीक है. So I said, sir, मैं बहुत कर चुका हूँ, and मैं literally this was my statement. I said, please don't waste me, sir. I've been wasted a lot.
Oh, that was going to be my epitaph.
I've been wasted a lot in my career. Please do not waste me. They said, I promise you, every fucking buddy will know who you are after the show releases.
Koi baat. I've taken care of that.
And they're not wrong. Feroz is a character you fall entirely in love with. So I'm glad you went for that. Tillotama, what about you? With love stories.
Reservations?
Yeah, did you have
no, none at all. None at all. You wait now. now everyone will know, 20 years, 23, to actually get age-appropriate parts.
Yeah.
You know, you have to have lived and had certain experiences of grief, of love, passion, you know, disappointment, which only happened in my 40s for me. It can happen to someone in their 20s or 30s, but my 20s and 30s was very about getting an education, following my passion. I moved to Bombay at 30. I was told, you're too old, you know. And it was just about proving people wrong that, what do you mean, 30, I'm just beginning my life, you know. But then I started thinking they might be right because I'm actually not getting any work in my 30s. And then 40 happened and my life just, COVID, my mother's cancer during COVID, and being in a hospital surrounded by death for a year, I don't think I could have done any of the performances that I have done had I not gone through that 2 years of just observing people in a general hospital for a year. When you live in a hospital, it's changed the idea of what vulnerability, fragility, strength, love looks like, feels like, you know. And usi ka matlab, this is all the blessing of that, you know. So to get a part like that of a woman so flawed, and yet what happens between Seema and Ishita is nobody's business. To have a script that is so, every beat of the script has been thought through. It's not just using like these, you know, aajkal ke jo fashionable words hai, female gaze, ye wo. And the fact that the man doesn't have consent in this story, you know, and to really think about it, how does that, everything was thought through. So when I got a script like, I have waited for this for 23 years. I have earned it now. And I don't mean earning by the waiting. Everyone deserves good things in life. I just feel like it was a gift at the end of those, you know.
इसको महसूस किया जा सकता है और हम सबने किया है.
You know, I was in Sweden some years back, and there were some friends there, and they said, you know, you have to have lived a life to call yourself an actor. Especially in Sweden, they were like, before, you know, 40s, 50s, you won't even introduce yourself as an actor because nobody's going to take you seriously because you haven't experienced life. To be in this profession, you have to live a life first so that you can portray life. So in that sense, I guess life is the ultimate film school or acting school in that sense. You know?
But life is the best teacher.
Yeah.
मतलब कुछ पूरा बिखर जाए ना, फिर उसको कैसे मतलब समेटना, उसको सीखना, एक मतलब it's just a direct, I cannot explain it, but it's had a direct impact on every woman. When a script comes, I want to, if I had to defend that woman in a court of law, I should be able to do it. You know.
Well, it really is. It's a terrific performance, and it's a terrific film. I mean, there's so much. It's what, half an hour. There is so much life and humanity in that. And you know, whenever I talk to friends about it, because it is a film you really want to talk about. I find it so interesting that everyone had a very different scene that was their, in quotes, favorite, a moment that spoke to them. And that to me is the sign of something truly great.
I have my 2 bits to say about her though.
Oh, yeah.
No, I finished watching the stories, your story, and I was like so fucking brave. I've been dying to ask you about that one scene, that confrontation scene, because it was so beautifully written and so impeccably performed. No, really, it's actually what it made me feel a lot when I saw that scene. It was, for me, you know, 2 women having an equation which they know in their own heart, they're protecting each other until they have to protect themselves. It was just so beautifully crafted and written and performed. I was like, what is this scene? Was it written like that? Or did you guys really...
No, every beat was written. I think I added 2 words on a phone call early on in the film, which is why you're talking so loudly. I think besides that, not a word, not a pause, not anything was added. And Pooja Tolani and Konkona had written, and you see, it was a 30-minute film. Their pre-production was 30 days. There is no shortcut. You work like that, and then there is nothing for us to improvise. It was like a, क्या बोलते हैं उसे, blueprint था. हर beat का blueprint था. Everything has been discussed. In that fight, not one word was improvised.
Wow.
Nothing.
No,
This
amazing.
is the writer. When you get writing like that, that's when you like, I earned this. That's when like everything is there. I just have to show up. I just have to show up. I just have to say it. You know, that's when you are like, why?
That was actually one of the scenes I was going to ask you about. So thank you for doing my job for me. I think you put it much better.
Yeah, you want to change seats?
I don't mind. Rajshri, what about you? Because I imagine that's not the kind of character you get offered very often, where you are playing a real person over so many decades and her impossible fight.
See, honestly, I don't have choice. I audition, I audition, I audition, I audition. And if I get something...
And she gets the role and she gets the
role. No, nothing like that. I don't get the role. I audition. And in case if something happens and clicks, then again I audition. And then I get the part. So, see, every project is is a hustle. And whatever I've got it till now whatever little work I have done in this industry is I'm basically a very slow person. I live half here, half in my villages. So
this is for the NGO that you run?
The NGO I run, yeah.
Is it also true that you, after Sacred Games, tell me if I'm wrong, you said that you left the industry for 2 years because you weren't getting roles that excited you?
Yeah, because Sacred Games time, I was building a school in a village, and my whole mind was there. In fact, I was not even present for the whole promotion, or nothing was there. Anyways, I was not part of it. But so for me, that school was more important than anything. And I was getting very, मतलब कॉल भी ऐसे आ रहे थे कि आप तो intimate scene है इसमें, तो बस आप तो comfortable हो ना. And I'm like, what is the script? Who are doing it? Like, me. So, I don't want to be part of something where, people say, and that time, Sexy Durga, the S Durga film was also everywhere. So, everyone used to think that, okay, you can do a controversial film, you can do intimate scenes, you can do this. So, tick box the unke paas already. So, they said, you fit into this and do it. So, there is no script, there is nothing that way. It has become like a Maggi noodles, like 2 minute में डालो, मतलब 2 महीने में script लिखो, 2 महीने में shoot करो, 2 महीने post production करो, 7वां महीना is like your release. And that's what the formula a lot of people are following, and I don't think so art has any formula. It is something you have to explore every day, every second is different for you. Even when we are portraying any character, like I was not knowing how am I going to portray Neelam Krishnamurthy. It was a tough task. I'm glad that Prashant Nair, had faith in me. The person who I hardly know, and he put it across to the team saying that I want her. Where, people want names, people want followers, people want a kind of a star system. There, a person is fighting for someone who doesn't know, who has no followers, and who hardly people know about it. Matlab, there are very few actually know that I have done Sacred Games. No. Because they know that, arey wo kharvas wala scene hai na, acha wo tum ho. So and a lot of times it's like, okay, yeah, I was the one who portrayed Ismat Chugtai. I was the one who did Sexy Durga. But I'm not here to, kind of explain what I did and all that. I feel, I'm glad that people are trusting me. I'm happy that, here Netflix and Prashant Nair took a chance on me to portray Neelam Krishnamurthy, who is where I had to, go through a physical transformation to psychological space to everything, There's a huge process. So, so I feel, I'm fortunate that, okay, there is someone there who doesn't follow these norms and just want to create something good. So I'm here for those kind of people. I can continue doing this work if there are people like Prashant Nair who trust me. There are people like a great team come on board to do something like Trial by Fire, where what they want to do is not a binge watching thing or not a titillating space, but a pure art.
I think that's a great summary of that show, because we've all seen the conventional mainstream version of Trial by Fire. It's a courtroom drama, it's investigation.
Yeah.
But the way the show put the people, the grief, and the human beings and the loss at the center of it is what made it so specific.
It's a fight for humanity. How
Yeah.
long did you shoot the series
So
for?
we were like almost a year we took
And COVID ke dauran
COVID
we
ke
shot.
dauran.
Man,
yeah.
I want
Same,
like really like
Yeah.
2 years.
Yeah.
And all that smoke and, you know,
It
already
was
people were
very-
sick
yeah.
from
But it
COVID.
really is such a terrific performance. And Neelam is a character that really stays with you, and a person who really stays with you. So thank you for that.
It's also amazing, you know, when she was talking about this whole incident, what happened in real life and on the set and the scene, how things
Art in
align.
real
When
life.
you work with an intention, this is what I also felt when I was shooting for Jubilee. Somehow incidents would align and it would give you some emotions to express, which has to be real at all times, because I think as an actor, all you chase is reality.
But let's just talk about
yeah.
Jai Khanna and Jubilee for a second.
Oh.
You're someone who's been working for a few years. You know, you've done TV,
Yes.
you've worked on Inside Edge, you mentioned, and a few films. And you know, Jai Khanna in Jubilee is really your sort of breakout performance, if I can put it that way. And it really is one of the most exciting, explosive sort of male breakout performances of the last few years.
Oh,
for
thank
Indian
you.
cinema.
And thank you for being so kind with the words that you
No, I
wrote in your review. Really,
Oh my God.
it means a lot.
He's like,
No, thank you for being
This
so...
flicked on me very well. I was not prepared for this part. I believe for you, I said that I want a front row seat to everything you do next. But,
Oh, thank you.
But in terms of how that
nice.
happened, how Jai Khanna happened, I spoke to Anmol, who's the casting director of Jubilee, to talk about the process of you getting that role.
I also want to know, how did
Yeah.
you get it?
yeah.
So he said,
just fell in my lap. Like, baby.
this is a bit of a lengthy bite, but he said, Sidhant is the first person that came to mind when I was casting for the role of Jai Khanna. The kind of prep work he did during the audition and even after landing the part was crazy. Even though the project kept getting delayed, Sidhant didn't do anything else or take on any other work. I kept pushing him to do ads and earn some money, but he refused and said he only wants to focus on this one character. I've come across very few actors as dedicated as him. Even during the shoot of Jubilee and before it released, he got many offers, some of them from very big films with good money, and he said no. He knew from day one his work as Jai Khanna would take him places. So what was it about this character and this show that made you so determined to know that this is all I want to do for 3 years, to the extent where you're saying no to other work?
Man, first of all, I would like to thank Anmol, because really he's, you know, you just need that one person to just somehow find some faith in you.
Yeah.
And he used to just call me. I did Inside Edge, 3rd season, and then I did a film, Operation Romeo. So he kept calling me, and he really he had this faith somehow, you know what I mean? And I was like, thank God I have this one person who has that faith in me. And then cut to I audition for this, and then somehow I get this. I don't know, it's just, now when I think about it, I really feel I've had my own journey, you know what I mean? My relationship with hiding. Because as a child, I grew up in Jammu, which is a small town, and my father was really, really strict for no reason, no rhyme or reason. He was just strict. You know how it is, just feeling that man of the house, and he needs to feel that, and whatever. But you know, when you're really sensitive, it scars your heart, and you don't know it until you keep hiding it. So I had built this relationship with just hiding, and it felt safe to hide growing up, and I just couldn't let go of it. So all these years, I've just, you know, just meeting people and just being used to hiding deep within and trying to not hide. So that became like a little play that I don't know, you know, that I found comfort in, and that became me. It's also in the city, you just come here and you just like, you know, you do what everyone's doing, you audition, and it's like you run around in circles over and over again.
But in this case, people were running after you and you were saying no to them for this role.
I know, that came in later, but then when I got this and when I got this role, I read the script and it just instantly just consumed me. When there's like truth on paper, you are not afraid of being lost, knowing that you will not get lost, because this is the truth. And also, I remember reading the script and I was like, kaun hai ye? Who is this guy? Who talks like this? How is he so like open? You know what I mean? Why am I not this guy? Why isn't everyone this guy? Like, you know, like he owns his right to exist, and he owns that, and he lets everyone be also. So he gave me more than I gave him. I held him very, very close for about 1.5 years and more, I think. I didn't want to do anything else. How would you do anything else when you're doing something like this? I also feel it's a life that you take up on, and it's a responsibility. I think beyond the joy and the glory and all the whatever success and the money and the fame, there's a responsibility of a life, because this work has to be about, you have to feel the need to give, either to the character or through the character. If you're lucky, then both. So all of these things just really kept playing in my mind, and in my mind there is this voice that is being just, you know, just cooking while I was prepping for it, you know, and it wasn't my voice, but it was like a new voice that was building up, and suddenly you become that voice and you don't even realize it, and suddenly you become this new character, and that really feels magical, because it's not just emotions and the psychology, it's also the physicality. You know, like my mother would say something, she would turn and I would just dance or something, you know. She wouldn't even see it.
Sort of the way you snap your fingers.
Yeah,
just like,
little.
And so exuding this sense of joy and this openness. And it's truly like, I don't know who you are as a person, but you're saying you're very different from who you played. But for me, that kind of persona is so unattainable, you know, because I'm so close. And this, your character Jay was really like this. And I mean, same journey, actor wants to make it in Bombay. And for me, it was like my introduction to Hindi cinema, because हमने देखे नहीं थे ऐसे films.
That's the sweetest thing
So
someone
really,
ever said. Thank you.
watching
No,
that was
really.
like, अच्छा ये था, जो मतलब these were our pioneers, you know. और आपने जैसे उसको दर्शाया, it was just like this character was so like just wearing their heart on their sleeve, could get up on a box and just get up and do this. And that's why I asked you, were you a trained dancer?
So
like,
no, I don't know. It's also my director, to be honest. It's his belief, you know. You trust Vikramaditya Motwani because you know he's clear. I feel he has a gift that he sees the timeless, and he lets you be. So my equation with him, he really just, you know, just like trusted me with everything. He let me do my own dance sequences because I don't know, he could see in that moment that I don't know, I was just in it sort of, which I didn't even realize, but he did. So all thanks to him because he saw it, so I could.
Well, whatever you did worked. You have everyone from Karan Johar posting about you to Diet Sabya thirsting over you. So you have arrived.
I know, that feels special.
But it's how beautiful, no? You can carry some characters with you.
Yeah.
Like,
but the best part about this was actually, you know, it's this bubble of fear and pain. I was like, since the beginning, I felt that there is this, the word is magic, I can't find a better word, that he sees beyond that bubble, you know, and that was something to chase. Yeah. And in chasing that for 1.5 years, I just felt he brought me out, you know. You give everything to a character, it gives you something in return. What it gave me was, after I finished shooting, I wasn't afraid of being afraid. I was still afraid, but I wasn't afraid of being afraid, and that's really liberating, you know.
It's beautiful.
Wonderful way of putting it.
Yeah, that was really something.
Aamir, just coming to Sam, sir.
Of course, from childhood trauma.
That was the connection. You can see the segue. It really is such a sensitive, tricky show. And your character, I mean, there are so many scenes with Sam, sir, that really are a gut punch. And there's so much sort of pain in the air, and there are so many sequences. There's the scene with Mohan Kapoor, who plays your brother, and sort of when he's assaulting the boys. There's a scene where you confront him about what he did to you. But the moment that is stuck in my head, more than many other scenes this year of anything I've watched, is the first time we see you and the student Vikram in bed together. The way that's shot, it's not this dramatic dun-dun-dun kind of moment. It's almost matter of fact. It's incredibly unsettling. But because it's not underlined, it makes it all that much more unsettling. So what were the conversations with Avinash, your director, and your co-actor about not just that scene, but also exploring that dynamic? Because it's very, very tricky territory.
Yeah, I think with Avinash, it was, I think that's that's his process. You know, he almost lets things seep in rather than, you know, say, oh, you have to be here or you have to be here. And so it's almost like it's almost like he's shooting still life, but with a moving camera. You know, so in that sense, it's really not much that we were trying to, you know, and scenes like this, the tendency is to get into the jargon, you know, and motivation and this and the layer and whatever. But it was literally like him taking a photograph. So you're capturing just a moment rather than a whole backstory or anything of the sort. It's just the image of a bare-chested man in bed and just another person getting out. You don't need to say anymore.
And we're filling in the blanks with our own imagination.
Sorry? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So you don't really need to, it is already so layered that if you start, you know, painting over it, then it'll obviously be overkill. So in that sense, and he has that obviously great directorial sense of just letting things be. And I've seen him with children also. Normally you see, you would imagine a director going hammer and tongs and this, nothing. It's always very like one sentence or one word kind of instructions. He doesn't overdo anything of the sort. So, and that really helps. Like he said with Vikram also. You know, if you get that kind of faith and trust from a director, it liberates you as well. Because if you know that after every shot or every 2 minutes you're getting this, and then we are saying something opposite, then it's obviously going to confuse you. So to let yourself or to let your actor just be first, of course. Once if it's going in the wrong direction, you're there as a director. But just to let us be was the gift that he gave us, and it just happened very naturally in that sense.
Also, Abhinash is the cinematography passed out from FTI, is my senior. So he has this great power of telling stories without words. He can just say stories with visuals, and that's his strength. If you've seen his other film, Killa, it's amazing how he does it, and you know that scene is a great example of that, of course.
But speaking of that, you know, I mean, I was telling you earlier the way he directs children, because most kids in Hindi cinema are insufferable, you know, because directors refuse to take them seriously. We don't know how to, you know, treat them as people. But the way he gets us into the minds of these kids and really makes us see them as people is incredible. Switching tracks a bit, Radhika, coming to you. Saas, Flamingo is such a trippy, distinctive show. It's so like wonderfully out there. I describe it as a fever dream. You know, it's such a vibe. I don't know how else to put it. What was it like being on that set? Because I get the sense that it's a very unique experience, and I also get the sense that when I was watching it, it just felt like Homie wanted to do even the most basic scene. There was a drive to do everything in a different way. Nothing can be conventional. It has to be done in a very specific sort of offbeat sort of way. So what was it like? Because I imagine it's a very specific set to be on.
Homie's set is always fun. Even if you're doing a very serious scene, he makes it fun. So you're not pressured about doing the scene right, or you need to be in the zone. But yeah, with me specifically, he actually went on my Instagram profile. He screenshotted a lot of my pictures in which I was smiling in a particular way. And he collected this file, जो उन्होंने बाद में मुझे भेजी, कि this is what you usually do. You speak in this manner, you talk like this, like you walk like this, you have this particular smile. I don't want that. And I was doing it so subconsciously that मेरा emotion correct है. But एक muscle memory जो हो रहा है, he used to call cut. So मुझे पहली बार लग रहा था कि मैं क्या करूँ? Maybe I'm not thinking properly. I was stuck. I didn't know, because he was challenging me and Dimple ma'am every single day. He was so hard on us. Like, he was so lenient with everybody else. Maybe he had worked with us before, so he had that liberty. He was really hard on us. I remember I was shooting for Kutte at the same time. So, like, day I used to shoot in Jaipur, nights I used to shoot in Mumbai, and then again,
Wow, that's
so.
Bhai, wow.
Can I give you an award? How did you do that?
You didn't sleep? So 2 घंटे flight में सो के, so I landed there, and it was a very easy scene. मुझे पहली बार लग रहा था मुझे नींद मिलेगी, and I just had to walk, sit, and give one expression, and that is it. जश्न का scene था, and there were 250 juniors and मैं आराम से chill कर रही हूँ कि आज तो चल के ही तो आना है, क्या हो जाएगा? And I remember कि क्या ही हो जाएगा, कितना गलत कर लूँगी मैं चलना।
2 घंटा सोने के बाद यार चल यार पता नहीं मुझे होगा कि नहीं।
चल तो मैं नींद में भी लूँगी ऐसी।
And last shot था कुछ and light जा चुकी थी तो उन्होंने बोला ओके शांता आजा शॉट रेडी। मैंने कहा हाँ आज तो सोने को मिलेगा and मैं चल के आई 250 जूनियर्स। मैं आई, मैं बैठी, मैंने स्माइल करी, एक इशारा करा, साइलेंस, माइक पे होने की आवाज आती है, कैन यू फकिंग वॉक इन एज शांता? और सब चुप, 250 लोग, मेरी हालत खराब। और देन आई रियलाइज सच एन इम्पोर्टेंट थिंग दैट उसने मुझे एक वॉक में भी कैरेक्टर छोड़ने नहीं दिया। वो ये भी बोल सकता था कि यू नो जस्ट टेक इट इजी, मिड ले लूंगा, तू थक के आई है। He told me you chose this. I'm not letting go of my character. I want my character to be there. If you are tired, if you are not in the zone, it's not my problem. I didn't ask you to do 2 films at the same time. Yeah. So, and I just kuch aise hua and I got into the zone and I did my walk properly and I gave the scene and he was like, okay, cut. So he is that kind of person. आप कन्वेंशनल तो छोड़ दो, आप अपने कंफर्ट जोन में रह ही नहीं सकते। एंड ये चीज़ एक एक्टर को मिलना बहुत बड़ी बात है, क्योंकि आधे लोग तो हाँ ठीक है बस स्माइल करो, नाच और जा करके चले जाते हैं ना। कौन सोचता है कि इसका क्या पैटर्न्स है, इसने पहले क्या किया, इसकी स्माइल क्या है, इसके गोटूज क्या है, ये वॉक में छोड़ रही है, कैसे चलती, कौन सोचता है इतने बारे में?
How did it feel जब 250 लोगों के सामने someone screams?
कुछ नहीं होता, सब हालत कुछ, तब आपकी ईगो नहीं हर्ट हो सकती।
नहीं, not ego, but it's like शांता का क्या हुआ?
कुछ नहीं, शांत हो गई वो। क्या होगा आज? वो सब शांत हो के अपने आप जोन में आप आ जाते हो। बट अब मैं चाहे वॉक कर रही हूँ, चाहे मेरा बैक शॉट है, चाहे कुछ भी है, it's such a big lesson for me. I don't let go of that zone. I still live it.
You don't fall back into your patterns.
Usually हम ऐसे हो जाते हैं ना कि चल अभी तो उधर कैमरा लगा है, थोड़ा कम कर लेते हैं, जैसा भी कर लेते हैं। Maybe it's my TV training as well. It's like we're saving it for the close and we're saving it कि पास तो आए तो मैं करूँ। बट अब बैक शॉट है, साइड का शॉट है, कोई भी शॉट है, मुझे ये लगता है कि मैं बस जी लूँ। And that is where I find my joy कि I don't care where the camera is, I don't know क्या मेरे को कैलकुलेट नहीं करना, आपको जो कैप्चर करना है करो, I just want to live it.
Yeah. Speaking of living the character, that brings me wonderfully to Bhuvan. I spoke to Rajshri earlier this year, and they said that the exact words were, you improv the hell out of Feroz.
I have that problem, man.
I mean, we're very thankful for that problem, but I imagine to do that with a character, you need a filmmaker and director who is open to it and supportive of it. You need an actor like yourself who has a good grasp of the character, and you need co-actors who are receptive to it. So what was that process of playing this character but really playing with him? And in the more comedic scenes, how do you know if something is landing? If something that's funny is actually working? How do you navigate that space?
Yeah, I'd like to say that I sort of have a natural control over comedy. In general, only as a person, I'm a light-hearted person. I like to keep the ambience around happy. I like to make people laugh. That's sort of my trip. Nothing makes me.
हाँ यार, मेरे से दोस्ती करिए।
अरे मेरी भाई,
हम दोनों क्या करते हैं यार?
मैं तो ऑलरेडी तेरे को मान रहा हूँ, शाम को घर आने वाले जोन में अभी। See, that's what I'm saying.
ओह अच्छा, ये फर्क है।
तो मैं क्या कहते हैं, in general only I'm that sort of a person. So Raj and DK, they're not just my directors anymore, they're my mentors. So everything that I've been choosing or I've been doing of late, I speak to them before I take on any project. So they give me this liberty. They would tell me कि यार हमारे सामने, don't do it in front of us, just do it on the take. And when a director sort of vests so much trust on you, you sort of feel that कि हाँ I know my job. And that is, I feel, a duty of every director who's directing you to make the actor so comfortable. I would have been scattered if my director tells me that. And मुझे नहीं लगता, I feel very out of place when my director and I feel that we're not on the same page. And with comedy, you know, there is a tendency for actors to go overboard very easily. And I don't think so. It would have been more than twice or thrice ever that they came to me and told me, "Yaar, ye zyada ho raha hai." You'd be like, "Go for it." And when you say that, "Go for it," then obviously I don't want to stop, man. Why will I want to stop? It's like I'm on a trip and everybody is saying, "Nahi, ab tu ruk ja." Why? Let me go, man. Let me go all the way. So they would allow me to go all the way, and when maybe on very rare situations, if I would go a little overboard, then would probably come and tell me, "I'm gonna keep this."
But what do you do? What do you do when that happens, when you and your director are not on the same page on a project? How do you guys navigate that?
Yeah, that's been my entire life. That's been my entire. So yeah, what do you do, man? You've signed up for the film and you're on set, so you do the best you can and go back home hoping that you'll get a better script which you can probably save in the locker. And yeah, that's about it. Yeah, there's nothing you can do. You can do the best. You try to probably find chemistry between your co-actor if the situation or the co-actor permits. Then that is the only way left out. Or you probably sulk.
No, it's my fear actually.
Yeah,
it's my biggest fear that I will be on a set and I'm not liking anything. So it's the biggest fear I have.
That's what I'm saying. He said a very beautiful thing right now. I'm not afraid to be afraid anymore. My problem is, and I don't know why, this is an emotion I just don't relate with, fear. And
Can I have some of that, please? Like, that
yeah,
great.
no, I genuinely don't.
I just, best friend.
नहीं मेरे को सच्ची में पता है मेरे को I feel that I'm missing out on it because I feel that sometimes probably Radhika के साथ जैसा हुआ that nervousness probably gave her something and it just doesn't happen with me and I feel that मेरे को सब बोलते हैं पेट में butterflies आना मेरे तो कुछ नहीं होता गुड़गुड़ होती है मैंने hungry
fear is not sustainable
हाँ so I feel that I have too much love for acting and I think love is a much stronger emotion than fear. And I don't get scared. I am shameless on sets.
So, you should change this show to actor therapy.
It always becomes actor therapy.
Yeah, but it's amazing how you trust your impulses. Every scene that I've seen, you're with your impulses. You know what I mean? And that is amazing to see in
because I feel it looks worse on screen if you don't follow your impulse.
Yes, 100%.
So you have to follow it. If it's going wrong, it's the duty of the director. If they have that kind of sensibility, which thankfully Raj and DK did. So they'll correct you when you're going wrong and you have to trust your director on that. But then I feel that as an actor, I always want to go all the way.
But just in terms of following your impulses, one thing I wanted to ask Sidhant and Bhuvan, both of you, I imagine after giving these very exciting, sort of call them breakout performances, I imagine the last few months you've both been inundated with calls, love, but also advice, whether you like it or not, people telling you what roles to do next, whether it's endorsements, representation, all of that stuff. It's an exciting problem to have, but how do you guys navigate this period where suddenly the phone is ringing and you have choice and everyone's telling you what you should be doing? How do you navigate that, but also trust your instincts?
So, wow. Okay, so my thing is, everyone has this question, how has life changed? You know what I mean? I remember we had a wrap-up party and I was just standing by the balcony and I was just standing there and someone came and was like, how do you feel on top of the world? I said, no, for a change within the world. Really, I felt accepted. There was one last string of fear actually because I felt having done so much work here and there, will I ever get accepted? Will I ever reach where I have to, in the sense the dreams that I came here with? And this show just gave me that. So I felt accepted. And then the thing is, but I feel life has completely changed. There are more and more opportunities. There are a lot of scripts. But the thing is, I still feel it's the same because I'm still that person who's patiently just reading and waiting for a script to not leave me so easy. So that I don't have to find reasons to do it. I feel the reason has to just unfold while you're reading it, and it's for you. Otherwise, it's for someone else. So I'm sticking and holding on to that. Out of everything, I liked a short film that didn't leave me, and which I just finished. That conversation for another time, I guess. But a beautiful, beautiful subject. So yeah, I don't know. Let's see.
What about
right
you?
For me, you'll find
drowning in advice and.
Yeah, man, but I don't follow any. I only do what my heart tells me to, and फ्री होती है एडवाइस, लेकिन आई थिंक फ्री होती है एडवाइस तो सबको देने में मज़ा आता है, मुझे भी आता है. आई एम वन ऑफ दोज पीपल हु लाइक टू गिव एडवाइस. आई एम नॉट जस्ट द only one who wants to receive it. But I feel that end of the day you have to be responsible for your own choices, and an actor is defined by his choices. So I will only choose the things people start telling me कि don't do the same thing over again. Again the hero का दोस्त मत करना दोबारा ऐसे. मैंने कहा यार मैं सारे जार्गन्स को एक पोटली में डालूंगा एंड आई विल फकिंग थ्रो इट इन द अरबिक ओशन.
लोगों को लगता है हमने सोचा ही नहीं है.
हाँ, मुझको लगता है ये तो लल्लू है.
Actually they come to you, they say the first line, the first thought that comes to you जो 3 साल पहले निकल चुका है हमारे सिस्टम.
हाँ, उनको लगता है लल्लू है, इनका तो दिमाग चलता ही नहीं, उन्होंने कभी सोचा ही नहीं होगा.
I don't know why.
But then again यार I feel that I've been fortunate now that a lot of different paths have come my way. And I'm very excited for them. So thankfully, जिसका मुझे डर था वो मेरे साथ बिल्कुल नहीं हुआ, किसी ने मुझे टाइपकास्ट नहीं करा. So yeah.
My father for the longest time was like, यार तू कुछ कर क्यों नहीं रहा? अब जुबली आ गया, अब तूने ऐसे वैसे कुछ नहीं करना. What is this conversation? Who is this human?
This is my mom's constant complaint. ठीक है. If she's watching a film and probably say Rajpal Yadav sir is in it, he's like, ये तो बड़ी फिल्में करता है. तो मैंने कहा हाँ तो तेरे को क्यों नहीं मिलती?
Your mom is your manager. You mentioned typecasting. Tillotama, if we just look at the last 6 months of the releases, in the last 6 months we have seen you as a courtesan turned immortal vampire in Tooth Pari on Netflix. We have seen you as a badass pregnant raw agent on The Night Manager. We have seen you in Love Stories, of course, as a woman who gets off watching her maid have sex, which is a very simplistic way of putting it. I don't really have a question, I just really wanted to say that. No, but you've talked a lot about how you've been typecast in the past. The industry really did put you in a box for the longest time. Does it feel that you're finally at a point where, because it feels like you're finally getting your due, so do you feel like the industry is finally ready to see you in different ways?
I can't speak for someone else, na? The industry is not a person. Yeah. It's a group of people. But like Sidhant, I had felt outside that group for 20 years because I did certain kinds of films and never released in India or had very limited release. So I had the great satisfaction of meeting wonderful people, wonderful crew, wonderful directors and being part of wonderful stories. But I had to also contend with the loneliness of not knowing people in Bombay and in those rare occasions where there would be a public screening or something and one would be invited by mistake almost, I would feel so out of place because no one would say hi. And our parents, Air Force upbringing, you go and say hello to everybody in the room, you say, but it was not a very forthcoming room. And what I did, the mistake was, I saw this room, I judged the room, I left the room. When you become that judgy and cynical, you may have all your reasons. Your friends will be like, that's so rude, It starts eating you up from inside. And very quickly, in those 2 years, not only did I repulse work, no work came my way. I was also on a high horse, but I worked so hard in certain performances, like whether it was Kissa or, they won awards internationally. I don't understand, what does it need? What do you guys need? I go for every audition. So there was this bitterness that had set in. And it was just, I found myself so unattractive. I just couldn't. I didn't want to be. So I had to then change my story.
I think you're very hot.
Thanks. I feel hot now, but that time I didn't feel hot. But I'm saying if you met me, then you probably walk past.
I've known you for a long time.
You'd probably walk past. He has seen that. He has seen that in going to, crying, angry.
But that's again part of our journeys. And I think being on the margins is also in some ways helpful. I mean, it only adds to who you are in the end. It's not. I don't think you should see that only as a negative.
No, I don't. I don't see being in the margins a negative. In fact, I feel I'm still in the margins.
I prefer being on the margins.
I like being on the margins because there's no expectation from me.
Yeah.
I don't have to be a heroine. I don't have to be any size. I don't even have to wear fancy clothes. I don't want to romanticize it. But I do want to say that my mother's attitude, her smiling face, her like wanting to have fun, despite her illness, taught me कि यार what am I crying about? Calm means a big deal.
Yeah.
Look at what's going on around you.
Yeah.
And the moment that shift happened, I started attracting all this work.
Amazing.
Wow.
6, 7 projects in a year and a half. So all these women you're talking about, I have literally just done them a year ago. I have had 23 years of waiting and whining, you know. So I for myself, I'm not being prescriptive or anything, but I'm just saying that the anger, no, it has its limitations. For me, it had its limitations.
Well, the range really is remarkable. You know, your characters, Lipika, Meera, and I forget the name of the character in Last Stories, they really feel like 3 very, very different people. And we look forward to all the other releases. I was also thinking about what it's like, because, you know, all of your work represents some of the finest storytelling on streaming, but I was thinking about what it's like being an actor navigating the streaming landscape today. And Aamir, there's something you said in an interview about how we are assaulted with releases. You said that the problem with the OTT boom is that quality seems to suffer whenever you have too much of something. In that sense, I think it is unfortunately heading towards what television serials were like in terms of the kind of time and budget we get. The novelty is gone and people are falling into their own habits of cutting corners and things like that. And just as an audience, it does feel like there is a difference between great storytelling and content, you know. So as actors, is that something that you guys have to navigate? The fact that some of these are meaningful stories from people who care about the stories they're telling, and some of them really are just content in 7 months turnaround time. How do you guys navigate that?
Until and unless I don't see or I don't get moved or I don't see a truth, it's very difficult. Then you're going through the motions. You know, at the end of the day, if the director or the writer is not able to tell me what they are trying to say through this story or this project, if they can't put that in words,
then you can
and
tell
I don't see the truth.
it's content.
Then I don't see the then I don't see. Then
But
then
it's really tricky.
It's
because,
discontent.
Yeah, it's really tricky because sometimes when I'm watching content and something is truthful, I am fangirling, right?
Yeah.
Say serial killers. ठीक है? Start हुआ Ted Bundy
We have one
से.
right here if you're interested.
Lovely. Ted Bundy से हुआ then.
Privacy.
Yeah, जितने भी आप देखते हो, so you're almost fangirling and subconsciously you're like, oh, I need to play this. I need to like, अगर हमने जोकर देखा, मुझे जोकर प्ले करना है या ये प्ले करना है, वो प्ले करना है. आपको कभी कभी ना समझ नहीं आता है क्योंकि वो ट्रेंड चल रहा होता है कि अभी फैमिली ड्रामा है तो फैमिली ड्रामा, अभी सीरियल किलर्स है तो 1000 सीरियल किलर्स, क्योंकि वही लोग देख रहे हैं और आप भी अंदर से चाह रहे हो क्योंकि आप फैन गर्ल कर चुके हो. तो आपको थोड़ा अपने आप को हटा के देखना होता है व्हेन यू रीडिंग द स्क्रिप्ट दैट इज इट समथिंग दैट इज एक्चुअली ओरिजिनल और ट्रूथफुल, और इज इट समथिंग that you are fangirling about. तभी आपको वो जो you're talking about original content, you're talking about like really risky things that people did and they took a chance. But हम कभी-कभी अटक जाते हैं उस चीज़ के अंदर और अपने आप को हटा के as a script read करना बहुत important है कि हाँ ठीक है, सच्चा है या मैं किसी और दुनिया में ही चल रही हूँ. और पॉइंट आउट भी करें क्योंकि आधे लोग तो पॉइंट आउट भी नहीं कर पाते ना टू द प्रोड्यूसर्स और द राइटर्स और द डायरेक्टर्स दैट द नेम्स आर सो बिग एंड तुम्हें लगता है कि इतना सोच के बना रहे हैं तो ठीक ही बना रहे होंगे.
Also, हमारा we have limited control over this.
Yeah,
you know,
we
right? We are just one piece of the puzzle. We can't really control that. Sometimes, you know, a great script can be really damaged badly on screen. And sometimes an average script can also be translated very well on screen. So I feel that, you know...
You also don't have any control which platform it goes on, how it gets positioned.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You spoke about the test case. You said that's a show that you did, which didn't get the love you thought it deserved.
Yes. So that's what I'm saying. Again,
I don't even know this show.
When I did that show was great, right? But I can't control people whether they watch it or they don't watch it. You know, I committed to it. I gave it my 100%. That's absolutely different from, say, a Feroz, right? So I took myself in a different... mindset, a different direction altogether. But then what do you do, man? You can't control it. So if it's a good script or a bad script, you know, there is moral responsibility for actors, but how it's going to be portrayed on screen, ultimately a film is made in edit, right? We all agree to that. So I don't know, I'm never going to sit on the edit table. So I have zero control over it. So I feel that, you know, we should only be concentrating on our aspect of the job. This is what I personally feel.
I feel, I don't know, in my experience, I'm sure as a like factually it's possible. In my experience, if it's not a good script, it's not a good film.
Yeah.
So for me, I have thought many times, script ठीक है, इसमें problem areas हैं, पर director अच्छा लग रहा है, इंसान अच्छे हैं, तो कर लेती हूँ. Because at the end of the day, if I have to spend so much time away from my family, it has to be with people at least I like. You know, वो भी नहीं है. In fact, I'd rather work on a mediocre film with people who are not megalomaniacs. You know, I'd rather work with nice people on an average script. But when I've got a good script, you just know that the amount of craft that has
this
gone.
must have also happened with you
Rare,
when the
very
script
rare.
is great, but
not
you know
happened.
it's okay. It has happened with me.
Sorry,
It has
the
happened
script
with
is
me.
great, what happens?
But yeah, it was
execution.
never made
Not
well.
because you know
Execution.
what's happening with OTT, which is a new thing, which I really love, is that a lot of the writers are becoming the directors and showrunners.
Yeah.
And when that happens, I think this used to perhaps happen at a time when someone has written something, then the director takes it and then
Makes it something
कुछ
else
और बना
altogether.
कुछ और हो गया. बेचारे राइटर को
Correct.
पता भी नहीं, वो सेट पे भी नहीं आता है. अभी जो 6-7 प्रोजेक्ट्स मैंने किए, what was so refreshing about it, ना सोचें, was to have the writer on set, because more often than not he's either the director or the showrunner.
It's actually become a norm now.
In
You
school,
know, it's become a norm now. Writers do
Ishani
co-create.
Banerjee was probably directing a lot more than Avinash,
It's a
because he
team
was also
effort,
behind the camera. I mean,
operating the
he's
camera.
operating the camera as well. But when it comes to, again, when it came to the details of each character and what has happened before and what is, you know, she was there all the time with this information. It's like you're going out to bat, you know, opening the batting, and she's giving you all the details of what the bowler is going to bowl next. And so it was exactly like that. Ishani had that, like it was that one point where you could get anything you wanted from anywhere.
एंड इम्प्रोव वाली एक्टिंग कर ली बहुत, क्योंकि तब स्क्रिप्ट में नहीं था.
There is no role.
बट जब ऐसे स्क्रिप्ट्स मिलते हैं, तुम्हें कुछ करने की जरूरत ही नहीं है. यू कैन जस्ट एंजॉय. मैं ये बोल रही हूँ कि अगर हमारी इंडस्ट्री राइटर्स को इज्जत दे, तो हम सबकी लाइफ बदल जाएगी.
100%.
मुझे ये मतलब ये तजुर्बा मैं अभी आपको बोल सकती हूँ कि सारे 6 प्रोजेक्ट्स में राइटर्स वर द शो रनर्स. दे आर कंट्रोलिंग बजट. That's why they can fight for a particular actor, because they know what their budget is. नहीं स्टार नहीं करना, मत करो, हम ये एक्टर लेंगे.
I would like to add into this. I feel definitely writers needs to give preference and needs to be celebrated and all. I think what we are missing is producers too, and empathy on sets. Empathy है ही नहीं हमारे यहाँ पर. हमारे यहाँ पर एक फैक्ट्री चल रही है और भाग रहे हैं लोग. हमारे पास बहुत अच्छा मटेरियल होने के बावजूद भी बहुत बार ऐसे होता है कि ऑन सेट वो नहीं मल्टीप्लाई होता.
Sorry, but about all this discussion, to be honest, I've been lucky, because honestly, the set that my director created, the vibe that he creates, the atmosphere that he creates, it's silence that you get, and I feel in silence you create. It's very simple. And he really understands that, and he gives you that. So it was, thank God for that I got to work with him. Someone who respects
and
the
creates
space.
that environment.
Only the characters are allowed on his set.
I remember from
you know,
Sacred Games, Saif used to come to me and say, "ये कुछ बोलता ही नहीं है." He was getting like, "Oh, no feedback, no appreciation, nothing is happening, everything is okay."
Doesn't say anything.
हमारा Sacred Games में तो मतलब ऐसे है, ऐसे सर स्क्रिप्ट दो ना. अनुराग used to be like, अरे बोल तो दिया ना, कर लो. It was like, but it was amazing.
Just on a closing note, just for all of you, what is the one kind of role you're tired of getting offered, and what is the one kind of role that you wish you would be getting offered more? Radhika, will start with you.
No, don't start with me. I need to think. Start from there.
Anyone can start. The one kind of role you're tired of getting offered, and the one that you really wish you were offered more of.
Not anymore. I was tired of getting the hero's friend, but not anymore, thankfully. So yeah.
And what do you want to be offered?
What do I want? Everything. Yeah. Why should I, restrict myself to one particular kind of role? I want to do everything.
For me, it's cops and daddies.
Everything is cops and daddies.
Also,
have you ever had a cop who's also a daddy?
Also, I've been saying a lot, no again, to a lot of revisionist history.
Which is a new genre of this season.
Yes,
of
indeed.
course. So yeah, none of that. I think people just see you once. Oh, he's playing. Oh, he has a 20-year-old daughter in this. So daddy. They don't realize, okay, I'm also running the whole show in terms of, Inside Edge, for example. Once Inside Edge happened, I started getting daddy roles on it.
Yeah, that is something that happened with me as well, which I had to consciously break, because after I did Patakha, सारे गांव की stories मेरे पास आ रही थी. After I did अंग्रेजी, सारी बच्चों की stories मेरे पास आ रही थी. But
immediately after School of Lies, I got another educational institution, board of directors. Oh no, actually we also have a professor in that. So
For me, I feel it has to be a well-written, because if I'm portraying something, probably maybe a housemaid from Sacred Games to Angry Indian Goddesses, but they were two different people. You know, they're dressed in style, everything is different, and I have to work on myself to make two different people, you know, not like same way. So for me, it's very important to have a very good script where a writer understand the backstory, writer understand the mannerisms, writer understand, the team understand everything, and I understand all that. तो मैं कुछ भी कर सकती हूँ, but आना तो चाहिए कुछ अच्छा, लिखना तो कोई चाहिए अच्छा.
What about you, Sidhant?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't get attached to thinking I want to do this or I want to do this specifically. I don't know. I would love to do like a nice musical, you know, like a nice musical, romantic musical sort of that. I'd love to explore that.
I want to do that.
Yeah,
too.
I know.
Please.
Let's do it, no? Okay, yeah, let's do it.
कोई romantic या comedy ऐसा
Yeah,
कुछ
obviously.
Maybe you should sit and write one and cast all of us.
Oh, like that?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll get to writing.
I said it before, I'll say it again. This is a show I would watch.
Also, like, you know, it was amazing when actually Jubilee released, and it's like, you know, randomly when you come across people. I remember I was walking in the mall, just one little incident just came to my mind. This woman who just walked up to me and she was like, you made me laugh and you made me cry. Aww. And she was like, you know, she treated me like her own. Yeah. It's like, you know, I can write this, and she all future predictions, whatever she began with. But the thing is, this has such a beautiful impact, emotions.
It affected her.
Yeah, and the thing is, I feel these are my little beliefs that I hold on to. Sure, everyone is running around, like she says. Everyone is working, and we're here to do all of that. But we are here to also just
but musical,
feel, you know,
musical and romantic and comedy.
Yeah.
Okay?
And one good superhero film also.
Superhero. Chalo,
We're not asking for too much, I think.
Maybe just one.
Yeah, it's
While you're at it, might as well.
Yeah, add कर देती हूँ. वो भी नहीं किया है मैंने अब तक, वो भी कर सकती हूँ.
Last word to you.
Romantic.
musical.
I would love to explore comedy because it's something that I feel just I haven't done enough. And my husband is a very funny man. And for me to make this marriage last for another decade or so, I'll have to up my game of being funny. And I realized the importance of it after these last 2-3 years. Yeah. It's if you can laugh your way through things, it just life is so much easier, and it's so rich. I feel like I haven't explored that enough. There was shades of that in.
Can I say you were incredibly funny in Love Stories?
And I loved it. That there's some timing.
Yeah, you were really funny.
But I want to do more. It was just like
But cinema, art is a conversation, right? Yeah. And it has to conversate with you in a different way forms. Yeah. Like it should make you happy. It should make you feel certain things. It should make you weep. You know, it should make you feel romantic. I think that's why we all are here for. You know that.
When everyone's running, only emotions will stop you. Nothing else can stop you. Otherwise, you'll keep running. Yeah, that's why.
I think that's a wonderful note to end on, because all of you collectively have made us feel so much this year in the best possible way. And we're having this conversation in July. If these 6 months is an indication of the kinds of storytelling we're in for in the next year, 2 years, the remaining of your 7 projects, I think it's an incredibly exciting time to be an audience.
7 projects?
Oh dear.
But no, as an audience,
I'm gonna start watching everything. Just like, wait.
No, उसमें से 4 निकल गए already.
just as an audience, we are assaulted by so much today, and we're so spoiled for choice. And there is so much rich storytelling out there to which all of you are a testament. So thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you.
Thank you
for having
so
us.
much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.